Wow, 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 ladies and gentlemen. What a wonderful, wonderful interview. Lengthy, but very awesome. Lot to share. Of course, I'm over 30 years in the business, so I definitely want to thank Jeff Jarrett for being on the show tonight. Was really good stuff. Again, for those who are jumping on video cast, be sure to download the episodes of the Pancakes and Power Slam show on iTunes or Blog Talk Radio, either or both. Go ahead and leave a positive review of the Pancakes and Power Slam show. You get to listen to all the awesome weekly interviews. And tonight, I had the pleasure to interview Jeff Jarrett. That's JEFF JARRETT Jeff Jarrett. Awesome stuff, man. I really appreciate your time coming on tonight. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we got so much to talk about. We already got some comments going on. My boys, the New Day. We'll talk about that. My favorite team. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to talk about. So let's jump right into it. We're going to bring in the co-host with the most, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only co-host with the most. He is Evan Tech Prout. How are you tonight, sir? Absolutely. As yes,
my brother was a good friend of mine, good old Jeff Jarrett. Probably one of the nicest guys, probably besides Fred Hoffman in the business, man. You can't get no nicer than Fred, Jeff, and good old Hillbilly Jeff.
And Brother Bobby.
If I'm missing somebody, I'm sure we can go out there with the nicest people.
Brother, you can't forget Brother Bobby. Bobby Fulton. Absolutely. Right. Awesome. Great to have you back, man. All right, so let's jump right into it. All right, so here's the flavor of the week for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. You see this? This is what I did. See, again, research, making it all work for you all. You know why I do it? Because I do it for you. GHP, there it is. Red Bull check. Water to Chase check. Pancakes check. See, Pancakes and Power Slams. New Day wins with all the help from the Pancakes. We got the Pancakes and Power Slams, the hashtag PNP Nation coming on and having a good time because you know why I do it. I do it for you. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so this is what I did. Flavor of the week. We're gonna do this later on. So there's another fan's choice. So I put the names down of every single person who won the Intercontinental Championship in the 1980s, but never won the WWE Championship. Okay, so I randomly selected and put it in tournament form. So those people are the Honky Tonk Man, Don Morocco, Ken Patera, Rick Rude, Pat Patterson. He won it in 79, but he lost it in 80. So he was a champ in the 80s. I counted him. Greg Valentine, Tito Santana, Ricky Steamboat, the Honky Tonk Man. And I think I said Don Morocco. All right, so those are the 8 names. And it's funny because there were 8 people who won the Intercontinental Championship but never won the World Championship. So it was so easy to create a bracket of the tournament that you all are going to choose. Randomly selected the match by just randomly picking the those names without looking at them. So what you're going to do at the end of the show is you're going to go match by match. Like for instance, this one's Rick Rude versus Ken Patera. The most votes favoring a particular person. That means the other person lost that round. And we're going to go through the rounds to determine who the best person of the 1980s who never won a Intercontinental World Championship, who was Intercontinental title. All right. I think that's pretty much the best way I can explain it. So there you go. All right. Of course, I'll open up Ask Chris, hashtag Ask Chris, but we got someone to talk about tonight. If I don't, no, Grussie was not a world heavyweight champ in the WWE. He was only Intercontinental champ, and he won one time in 1989, and that was it. He never won the world title. So, all right. So there we go. We're going to jump right into it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about before we get to the headlines. We're going to talk about TakeOver. Just let me know your thoughts. Let the PNP Nation know. Yes, I did know. I did know that R-Truth was the two-time NWA champion. Yeah, I did know that. I was actually watching the weekly TNA shows back in 2002 when he was one of the big names there. They were actually at the Tennessee Fairgrounds. It's funny we were talking about the Tennessee Fairgrounds. Yeah. So yeah, he was there, and I remember him when he was K-Quick, and they brought him in TNA and made him a big name. Yeah. Wild Boy's asking who deserved the tag belts more, Enzo and Cash or Crime Time? Oh, Crime Time, hands down. Hands down, absolutely. All right, so chat room, let us know your thoughts on TakeOver. My thoughts, let me go match by match. Jose's asking X Chris, who's better champion, Brock or CM Punk? That's one of the headlines, so we'll talk about that when we get there. Because Paul Heyman had his he had his thoughts on it, and yeah, so we'll see if I concur with him. We'll talk about that in just a moment. So a lot of positive reviews that I'm seeing right now for TakeOver. I agree, man. TakeOver was absolutely fantastic. NXT usually TakeOver left me in tears as a wrestling fan. Wild Boy said that. It's what's up, Joseph? It's awesome. People loading in the PNP Nation. You guys are, and I always say, the best fans in the world. All right, so match by match, real quick. So I'm not going to spoil. I'm not going to spoil the results of the tape matches for upcoming NXT. So I'll just go through. It's funny. 5 matches. I believe it lasted 2.5 hours. 5 matches, and look at this: 18 minutes, 15 minutes. 18 minutes 6 seconds. 15 minutes 3 seconds. 15 minutes 9 seconds. 13 minutes 37 seconds, and 33 minutes and 42 seconds. 5 matches covering 2.5 hours of content of programming. 5 matches, 3 of them, 4 out of the 5 was greater than 15 minutes. And I mean, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. I mean, that's amazing to show that you can have long matches. Each one of them were absolutely incredible. Undisputed Era Mustache Mountain was awesome. It seemed like there were sometimes the Mustache Mountain was gonna win. Awesome time. A big fan of Dream. He's my favorite person in NXT. Glad he got a win, a TakeOver win. Ricochet, I've had him on the show before. Great guy. So I was pulling for him. And you know, and good to see him as North American champ. Kairi Sane won she won the NXT Women's Championship, and then Ciampa and Gargano maintained. It was interesting because no one was called up. People were talking about people possibly being called up after SummerSlam, either Raw or SmackDown, or even 205 Live, but nobody was called up. So it seems like with Aleister Black gone with injury, so yeah, we'll see. We got a comment saying didn't like the Velveteen Dream versus EC3 match. I think probably I liked it because I was rooting for Dream so much. I agree, DX. No call ups was the decision, is what DX says.
She looks like a dollar. Anybody listening, go to the dollar store, Family Dollar, Dollar General, and go to the toy section. There's always the generic white wrestling man. It looks just like EC3.
Yeah.
He looks so bland, square jaw. There's nothing against his talent. He's athletic, but this kid, to me, nothing about him captivates me.
Mm-hmm.
He just looks like
I agree.
Like template one, like creative wrestler.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Yep. I agree. I've never connected. I've never connected with EC3. I mean, there was times in TNA it was cool. But yeah, I never personally, he's got charisma. People like him, top 1%. The song's cool. But Gio saying EC3 is too stiff, man. He has potential, but will lose momentum due to his lack of it factor. I think that's it. Ask Chris. Mike says, Chris, what a week it's been for us Roman Reigns fans. Absolutely, you get a round of applause for that one. All right, GSP is asking, so if Roman is the big dog, or is actually, you know what, GSP, I gotta say the big dog, as Michael Cole does. So I'll read the question and I'll say the big dog is Michael Cole. So if Roman Reigns is the big dog, what would be his excuse for getting help against Braun? Sounds like a cowardly heel move. Maybe they're transitioning him into a heel. So I would be in favor of that. Gabriel's asking, what is your opinion of the Street Profits? How high of the ceiling do you see for them? I like the Street Profits a lot, actually. It's just there's just so much talent you can't do everything with. I guess right now you have a Mustache Mountain, but as we saw on TakeOver, the Undisputed Era got shellacking from the War Raiders after the match. So they were next in line. I figured they were going to be next in line. There was an episode of NXT where Mustache Mountain and War Raiders were talking in the back, and War Raiders were talking about how, basically they're next in line. And I was expecting a run in from the War Raiders, and that's what we got. That was expected. But yeah, I mean, overall it was fantastic. So I give it a B+ overall. I think it was great. Real quick, Evan, before you share your thoughts, I'm going to see if there's any more Ask Chris questions real quick. GHP saying, just enjoying the best podcast in the world. Oh, yeah. Let's see. I think that's it. You're not special with all the screaming in the ring this weekend. What happened to Brock Lesnar? Ask Chris. There were some discussions that his contract's up. there were some conversations that he possibly was going to meet with WWE for maybe an extension. But I think it's good that the Brock project's up. Gabriel's asking real quick, what is your opinion on NXT UK? I don't understand it really that much. I mean, of course, you got people like a Tony Storm and Mustache Mountain. The only thing is, because you have an NXT UK division, does that take away one of the top teams that in the American NXT, which is Mustache Mountain? Does that make Mustache Mountain exclusively for the UK? It's a little odd to me. I understand that they're branding to UK, and I think that that's a really good idea, especially since they have a lot of UK things. They have a UK championship, uh, which hasn't turned out to be much of an impact, to be honest with you. Pete Dunne has some good matches against Roderick Strong before, and some other good matches too, but it hasn't really been much of an impact. So we'll see how they differentiate NXT UK with actually the American NXT, because it's a bit odd. One more question. Lil Silver is asking, Chris, what's with the Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton feud? We've seen it in the past, like 2008. Yeah, I guess this is a way to use them right now. Yeah, so both of them aren't really involved in the title hunt anymore, and they wanted to make Randy Orton wanted to be a heel, and that's the way that they brought him in. So, all right, Evan Tech Prout, give us your thoughts on TakeOver and then Survivor Series, SummerSlam.
With no interruption in a while. I really enjoyed it. It reminded me of this good old school wrestling, from the WCW and WA. This is wrestling. There's a lot of backstage segments. It's funny how the state of WWE with NXT and even on the main roster is so much of Lucha Underground and TNA alumni, Ring of Honor alumni. And, we all have friends that are there now, so we're really proud to see like Patrick Clark, buddies and family watched to come up here locally for MCW, Maryland Championship Wrestling. Velveteen Dream, I'm so proud of him for taking his chance, calling me up, Vince.
Yeah, those tights were funny.
Tag matches is just phenomenal. All NXT, man, I give it 5 out of 5. I give it about 4.5 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing, the main event was well done. I just thought the ending was a little dragged out too long. For me. It was the whole setup with Gargano and Ciampa. I thought it was good with him dislocating his knee, kayfabe. But I would have liked if Ciampa, who wasn't met before, a good guy. I would have liked if he would have sold it more. Like, you can go to this brutal 33-minute match, and for you just to get up, to walk off under your own feet. You don't sell anything. It was like, come on, man. You could have sold it a little better. And he kept dragging the ending so far along, like something else was going to happen.
Yeah.
And nothing really did. But anyway, NXT I thought was a 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5. SummerSlam was okay to me. Rollins and Ziggler was great. I don't know. I thought SummerSlam was okay. Braun DePawn, use Braun Strowman as a pawn, so WWE doesn't so the fans don't hijack SummerSlam because Reigns was going to win. I thought the Reigns and Brock match was probably that second best match, besides 31. Good to see Brock use the guillotine. I just thought that we knew Reigns was going to win. I just thought Brock just losing to a regular spear. It just was too like whack. It was like, come on, like, this is Brock. Eventually, yeah. I just thought it should have took a little more effort from Reigns, a couple more spears, a couple more Superman punches, and then pin Brock, because this man's been like a beast. But other than that, the SummerSlam was okay. The Bludgeon Brothers coming out and winning. Becky Lynch turning heel, I really thought was well done. Definitely needed. Can't really think of anything else. AJ against Joe, I thought the match was good. We've seen them feud 10 plus years ago. I see they're probably going to stretch this off to Survivor Series. Good to see a lot of color as well. Good to see blood on AJ, blood on Rollins. And I like that they're using AJ's family and trying to give AJ some kind of You know, because you always been like the white collar good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're starting to have AJ have an edge, which I really like.
Yeah.
Shout out to someone said co-host loyalty. Someone said something.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Let me. Mike's asking people. The people forgot to boo Roman. Yeah, you know, and I loved what they did. You know, I gotta give. Okay, so Gress is asking, should the ALP join the heel shield? No way. No, that would be an overkill. That's like the NWO, just being overkill. All right, so Mike is saying, ask Chris, the people forgot to boo Roman when he won Sunday, when he pinned The Rock. When he pinned Brock, the fans pop huge. You know, and that's funny too, because there was I got a report of someone who was there, and it was funny because some people who weren't there, who was reporting some things and saying that, you know, the fans they weren't reacting or they booed them. But it's funny because I got a report of someone who was there, and they was like, that all is false. Like they were popping for Reigns. Now, granted, even as a Reigns fan, you know, I'm sure that there a big amount of that pop was because Lesnar wasn't champ anymore, which I understand that. But at the same time, if you're going to be a heel, I mean, well, if you're going to be jeered, you're going to be jeered. And it's funny because and I've said this before, I'm not going to take too much time with it. I really think that people think that booing Roman Reigns is the cool thing to do. And then they realize that it's not as cool anymore, and they still want to make it cool. It's similar to the CM Punk chants to me. It's like nowadays it's funny because people I'll be at live events and people will do the CM Punk chants, and it won't take but 30 seconds, probably shorter than that, for people to just boo him. For people to just boo the CM Punk chants, which I think is hilarious.
Remember, we was at Mania on the floor, and it was always them 2 or 3 people that kept trying to do CM Punk chants.
Yeah.
Why are we even doing that?
And they got like booed within 10 seconds. It was hilarious, absolutely hilarious.
I will say this too, as far as chants, and I will admit this for the first time. I'm talking to a potato. Shout out to my good old buddy, Multi Apple. It's a little joke. And the first time I got literally heard this is awesome chant to me. Grind. Somebody saying you should say burns my biscuits. It's like everything, any spot. This is awesome. It's like, come on, guys. It's a spot. I'm not taking anything away. It's done so much. This is awesome. This is awesome. And like even Jim Ross said, we talked to him. Even Jim Ross, like, I can't say exactly what he said on this show because it's PG. We basically saying the same thing. He's like, come on, man. It's one match, one spot. And the show that started was 5 minutes change. This is awesome already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I'm not a fan. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Yeah, I agree. There'll be like a couple of high spots, and then we'll get this is awesome. So, all right, real quick, my thoughts on SummerSlam. I'm gonna get some of these Ask Chris questions. They're really good. That's filling up the chat room right now. I thought it was good. I thought SummerSlam was fantastic, man. I sent a message and I said, you know what, man, it shows personally. I think that SummerSlam was proof that WWE still can book a good, main roster show, because I liked it. I mean, from top to bottom. Of course, there were some hiccups. It wasn't a perfect show, but it was good. It was good though. I enjoyed. I mean, the pre-show matches were forgettable, but I really like Seth Rollins winning the Intercontinental Championship. I think that's a really good championship for him to win right now. I think that's a really good spot for him. I understood the New Day versus the Bludgeon Brothers to extend it, the feud. I mean, yeah, I understand that the DQ finish, but I'm not a fan of DQ finishes on Big Four pay-per-views to extend it to to extend it to a minor pay-per-view. I'm just meticulous about that. I don't like that. So I wasn't a big fan of that. But everything else, I mean, I think Owen should have got squashed by Strowman. They're making Strowman look like a monster. That made sense. Didn't like the Lynch turn in Brooklyn. I think, you know, and even we saw it today, you know, today on SmackDown. It's like it doesn't matter what type of heel promo Becky Lynch cuts. I mean, she's going to get cheered because Charlotte's the person that you don't want to. I think people are just kind of getting tired of the Charlotte project, you know, as a babyface. So,
yeah. My thing is, I disagree to say I'm glad Becky Lynch did turn to you. It's just how it was done, because we all know we've been watching wrestling for most of us 25 plus years. And me and you, Featherstone, we're in our mid 30s. We all know whenever there's a hug, we know someone's on the turn.
Right.
It happens all the time. Nakamura, AJ, Jericho, and Shawn. And, you know, and I agree with the turn is just, I like out the blue heel turn, where, you know, Michael Cena getting Hogan on.
Oh, that was one of the best.
And, you know, Flair the sledgehammer. It is out the blue heel turn. Like, oh crap!
I love them. I love that.
It was going to happen eventually. Even with Rollins hitting when he traded, and it was always a plan B. You really didn't see that coming in a way. Kind of caught you off guard.
Yeah.
The hugging is like, okay, Becky Lynch, you're turning.
Yeah, it was obvious.
Something different. What else are you going to do with Charlotte? Where's Asuka? Gosh, it's you know, she lost 2 times and.
Yeah, they were talking about Asuka possibly coming back as a heel. I hope that, I hope they don't do that, especially since they just turned Becky. I don't think it makes sense. All right, real quick, let me zoom through. No Lashley, no Asuka on SummerSlam, which I wasn't a big fan of. Another DQ finish with Joe and Styles. They're extending that to Hell in a Cell, and it's like, again, it just goes back to, like, why are you doing DQ finishes at a Big 4 pay-per-view? Multiple ones. I didn't like that. Miz and Daniel Bryan, I understand why they're doing that to continue their feud, but again, it's just like, you know, things should be ending at Survivor Series, not continuing to me. That Elias segment made no sense to me. Did he really break the guitar? I didn't mean to do it, or like it just, I don't really understand that. Good to see Demon Finn Balor come back, and plus it was unadvertised too. I'm starting to like that about WWE. They're not. Yes, I was GSP. I was on a streak with my picks. I'm glad you noticed that. I was tweeting about that. Yeah. I'm glad they didn't announce it. I'm totally cool with that, and I like it. That's old school wrestling. I like Rousey. She's got. I'm a big fan of Ronda Rousey. I love the fact it makes sense that she's champ. There's nobody who can hang with her, you know, as far as just a fight's concerned. But she's got a lot of protection to do. You know, Bret Hart is typically known as not being the happiest guy in the world, but there's one thing that I really respect Bret Hart saying. And that's when he was talking about how throughout his career, he prided himself on protecting his opponents. And I agree. I think that that's a big deal when it comes to professional wrestling. You have to protect your opponents. And Rousey doesn't understand that yet. I think she's still caught up in the MMA. Like the arm drags that she does and arm toss that she does and things like that. I'm like, listen, you're really going to take this, you're really going to dislocate this arm off the socket. And, you know, people like Alicia Fox and Alexa Bliss, they just have to take it. You know, I don't know if they have conversations in the back. I don't know if, you know, who's ever training Ronda Rousey. I know that Fit Finley was doing a lot of training for a long time with the females. Somebody just needs to talk to Ronda Rousey about, this is professional wrestling now. You need to protect your opponent and respect the business in that way. But overall, I mean, of course, you know, the big dog is the new champ. So that was a great closure for me. And I think it was a fantastic idea to bring in Strowman from the very beginning as a red herring. I think that was a great job whoever thought about that, whoever produced, because you know there's a bunch of producers, different agents who produces certain matches, and I haven't found out yet who produced that match. I guess I can find out actually, but whoever produced that match, kudos to you, man. A lot of I know the options are typically Michael Hayes, Billy Kidman, Jamie Noble. There's a Devon's an agent now. There's a few other agents who produce matches. Of course, I don't know if Pat Patterson still does some work, production work as far as producing matches, but whoever it was, kudos to you, because I think it was a fantastic idea to bring in Strowman as a distraction, as a red herring, because what that did, it's funny because you were getting "you both suck" chants in the very beginning for Brock and Roman. Brooklyn was ready. They were ready to hijack that match. But Strowman there in the beginning, first of all, he came in the beginning. So basically, you know, the fans would have hijacked the match, wanting a Braun turn, wanting a Braun cash in, probably even chanting Braun's name during the match if he wasn't out there. But WWE fizzed all that out. Brought Braun in there from the beginning. He cut a promo. He was at ringside. I think it was an excellent idea. All right, so let me address a couple of these Ask Chris questions. We're going to zoom through the headlines, and then we're going to get to the tournament. All right, so let's go. Let's do Gabriel. Are you excited about any of the officially advertised match for Evolution? I don't know. I think, well, I mean, what are the advertised matches for Evolution? The only one I know about is Trish and Alexa Bliss. There's some rumblings of Ronda Rousey and Nikki Bella main eventing it, which you know, whatever. I'm sure she'll have a part of it. So yeah, I mean, it'd be good to see Trish back, her first singles match in 7 years. So I'm cool with that. Little Silver's asking thoughts on Undertaker versus Triple H. Not a fan of it. I think that Undertaker could have fought somebody else. Triple H could have fought something else. Triple H cut a killer promo on Raw. I will give him that. But I mean, I don't know. Leave the era back where the era was back in 28. I think 28 was one of the greatest send-offs and potential send-offs. It didn't send anybody off because Triple H and Undertaker started wrestling afterwards. Yeah, it's not an end of an era. Yeah, it's an end of the day. It's what it is. Yeah. Yeah, and it wasn't, and it's not. So I think they should have left it at 28. I don't think there's nothing left in Undertaker versus Triple H to see more than 28. I mean, like, basically, I'm setting them on a high standard. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm sure that it's Undertaker versus Triple H. So you guys are going to put on a fantastic show or a fantastic match. But here's the thing. My standard's at 28 Hell in a Cell Shawn Michaels right now. If you give me something below that, I'm going to be dissatisfied. Simple as that. So, let's see.
I was just going to say, who would you have fight? This could have been a perfect opportunity where it could have been Taker versus Cena too. You know, so Cena got.
Yeah, could. In a way.
I'm sorry for the big match, but like you said, and shout out to who asked that question about before, because WWE for some reason keep forgetting Triple H Undertaker happened at WrestleMania 17.
Yep.
They act like that never happened, like it's the RoboCop 3. That match happened. For some reason, they just want to remember 27 and 28.
Yeah.
So, 28 is the Dark Knight. You know, like the Batman trilogy.
Yeah.
So we just hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
October, is it going to either be you can't overcome that.
Right.
Is it going to be Dark Knight Rises? Is it going to be Batman Begins?
Yep. I don't see it.
It's not going
yeah. I don't see it, man. I don't see it. Gruss, Roman Reigns put more people over than John Cena. Facts. I like that. You know, I'm indifferent toward John Cena now. I couldn't stand John Cena. I was bitter that he beat Jericho in 2002, and Jericho's my guy. And for about, a good 12 years or so, 12, 13 years, I was an anti-Cena. But now, man, I respect Cena. He's been in the business for 16 years, man. He's earned his stripes. I don't dislike him anymore. I still don't favor John Cena in the ring as far as like wanting him to win a match, but he's earned the stripes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've always been more of a Orton guy as opposed to Cena, but overall, I respect Cena.
Yeah, I agree.
The past few years, it's been lost in a win.
Yep.
So glad you're here.
Yeah.
It's like a sidetrack on an anime. So what do you
right.
Orton hasn't done anything memorable the past 2 or 3 years, and I'm a big Orton fan. When he decided when he got busted open the gym on Rock at SummerSlam about a year or two ago.
Yeah, he took one for the team on that one. Yeah. All right, first trivia question. Who were the members of the Mean Street Posse? Who were the members of the Mean Street Posse? All right, ask Chris. What are your thoughts on the comments Dave Meltzer made about Peyton Royce? I knew that was going to come up. I knew someone was going to ask me about that. Okay. So, let me see how I want to word this. Kudos to Meltzer for apologizing. May not have been the best idea to say what he said, since he's such a highly sought after journalist when it comes to content. I'll say that, and I'll also say the context was stretched. I'll say that. It was. I understand the tweets. I understand the tweets that support Peyton Royce. I don't see what Dave sees. As far as Peyton, she's as far as the criticisms that he made, I don't agree with it. But at the same time, that's what he does. I think that what he said could have been said more tactfully if he wanted to say it. But I think that within context, that he was sharing his opinion on his show about what he felt about her personal look. And I think that people were taking it as, she's getting bigger from like fatter. I think he was talking about the surgery. So, that's what I got from it. But people are taking it different ways, and people are supporting Peyton Royce, which people should support Peyton Royce. Absolutely, 100%. If she felt slighted if she felt slighted from the comment, I think that a conversation between her and Dave Meltzer would have been the ideal route. But social media has such an opinion nowadays that that's usually where you air your you air your thoughts or dirty laundry, man, by way of social media. Meltzer apologized. I think it was sincere. I think Peyton Royce, hey man, I think that I support Peyton Royce as far as being a WWE superstar. I think personally, I think that they should have stayed in NXT, because I think they were killing it in NXT, and they're being underutilized on Raw. On SmackDown. Wasn't a fan of her being Naomi tonight, especially coming from a very dry spot. I mean, I'm talking from a wrestling standpoint now. Big Naomi fan, and I don't like the stop pushes they're having with Naomi. But you know, that's how I feel. I feel that's I feel like if Royce felt that if Royce was offended by it, you know, Meltzer should have apologized. I think that was right. And you know, he just needs to. You know, it's again, it goes back to it was his show and that was his opinion. I don't think that it was a slight on Royce. I think it was a way that he felt. However, was it appropriate to talk about, you know, your opinion of her looks on a Wrestling Observer show? Probably not. So those are my 2 cents on the subject.
I agree with what you're saying. Because you know we're on the show. We always joke about calling him Uncle Dave. It makes sense a gray area of us being in media and doing this for 5 or 6 years. We do share our opinions, and granted, I know there's people out, and I know a lot of WWE superstars, Billy Kay and Charlotte Flair, and a whole bunch of people came out to defend Peyton Royce.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I heard about it, was like, oh, it's freedom of speech, and he shouldn't have to apologize because he just said how he felt, and, you know, he didn't say she was ugly, and, you know, people say other things, and it's still a great area. Like you said, he said how he felt. He didn't slander her, because, I mean, he could have said a lot worse. He just gave his honest opinion. But nowadays, everything you say is very construed.
It's under the microscope, for sure.
Under the microscope.
Yes.
All this thing. Had this been in the 90s, even in the early millennium, you know, it wouldn't have been a big deal.
Yeah.
That's how he felt. He still said it respectfully, which I get what he was saying, but now everything's under a microscope. Everything is so fine-tuned and investigated and set apart. We give Uncle Dave credit. He apologized.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure he didn't mean any harm. He just said how he felt.
Yeah, I don't think there were any ill intent. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he meant any ill. You know, there's one of the things, I'm going to give my honest opinion with respect, and she had me get offended, and then not only that, everybody at WWE started jumping on a horse and tweeting and twatting. So,
yeah.
You know, he apologized, and that's it.
I think it's one of those things that when someone like Dave Meltzer is always under a microscope for saying anything, you know, it's one of those things that PC is the way to go when it comes to people of that nature. Because even your opinion can be, you can have some SJWs out to you know, out in the front line for opinions nowadays. You know what I mean? So, and so someone like a Dave Meltzer, people in WWE, things like that. Once you have that platform to have a radio show and, you know, a podcast that reaches so many people, you just got to be careful. You know what I mean? You got to be very careful about what you say. If Peyton Royce's enhancements was something that you didn't prefer, you know what I mean? I'm married. My wife doesn't have them, and that's what I prefer. But you know, you just got to be careful what you say, because people can misconstrue it, and then you got the SJWs out, and then it's just a big cluster mess. And so my advice to Dave Meltzer would be to just be very careful with what you say. You know what I mean? Even if it's an opinion, even if people take it out of context, just be very, very careful. And as you probably know now, stick to the wrestling. I mean, looks are a part of pro wrestling. Of course they are. But I guess giving his personal opinion on something probably wasn't the best idea to do. So, you know, hey, listen, no, no ill. You know, I'm on Team Meltzer. I'm on Team Peyton Royce. You know, I support both of them. I support Dave Meltzer for giving his opinion. I support Peyton Royce for feeling confident in herself for standing up to something she was offended for. So, you know, kudos to both of them. All right, here we go. Yes, so Rodney, Pete Gas, and Joey Abs. Rodney, Pete Gas, and Joey Abs. Next question. Who won the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam 1997? Who won the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam 1997? GHP saying, I feel like listening to the Mean Street Posse's theme song now. Thanks, Chris. It would now be looped in my brain. You're welcome. That is really that is really a cool song to be looped in your brain. And the funny part of that is that the song is basically a loop. So it's like the same thing over and over and over again. All right, so let's just do let's jump into these headlines real quick because I really want to talk about this. I really want to do this tournament and have enough time for that. So let's jump into the headlines and then we'll grade Raw and SmackDown and we'll take it from there. Here we go. So Paul Heyman was interviewed. I believe I don't remember what the show was. I wrote the article, but I don't remember what the show was. I think it was maybe Beringer and something. I'll look it up because I want to properly source people. As a journalist, I want to do that. So basically, he was asked if what person he thought had a better world championship reign between Brock Lesnar and CM Punk. And he said Brock Lesnar because he was talking about, it was about $20, when the stock was about $20 when CM Punk was champ, and $80 with Brock Lesnar. And, he said basically it's a business, and Brock Lesnar, his reign was bigger than it was the Benigno and Roberts show on WFAN. So that's the source of it. So yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. I agree with Heyman from a business standpoint. I do. I mean, now granted, CM Punk's reign as far as, overall and title defenses and good matches and frequent matches, it was better from a in-ring standpoint. But again, man, Jericho said this recently, like, you can have as many great matches as you want in the world, but that's not going to move the needle. You know what I mean? Memorable moments are compelling storylines. Those things are going to move the needle. You can have, I'm a fan of good matches, but at the same time, man, Jericho was talking about how, he had to call up Will Ospreay, man, when he did that Spanish Fly from the apron on Marty Scurll earlier this year, and almost broke his neck. And he called him up and said, "Listen, you got to tone that down. You got to because here's the thing, from a business standpoint, and we're gonna zoom past this here. From a business standpoint, you can have 5-star matches, as much as you can, as much as you as much as you want to, but if there's no storyline with it, people will just keep that in the moment. In 10 years, I'm not thinking about how good, a match was. There's exceptions. There's rare exceptions to that. People like, Savage and Steamboat at WrestleMania 3, Brett and Perfect at SummerSlam, things like that, are memorable. But at the same time, the characters were still they were so larger than life back then that that was still in addition to the good match was still in addition to how strong the characters were. Nowadays, WWE is not doing a very good job with creating larger than life characters. Pro wrestling is so relying on, good matches nowadays that the ratings show. I mean, Impact is killing it as far as just good content, really good matches. Phoenix, Pentagon, Austin Aries, Johnny Impact, the X Division with, you name it, Desmond Xavier, Matt Sydal, Brian Cage. They're doing a fantastic. Sammy Callahan's one of the best heels in all of wrestling right now. Eddie Edwards is, he's hardcore Eddie Edwards now. They're doing some really, really good stuff in Impact, but Impact was more, they were more popular during the Broken Matt Hardy. And at that point, the wrestling content was worse than it is now. But, their ratings wise, they're not doing as good. So, I think that's what it boils down to. Yeah, so that's that. Eli Drake is the man. Yeah.
He was trying to kill themselves.
Yeah.
And, just chill that out, man.
Yeah, I agree.
You can tell a good story. You can have a couple of high spots here and there, and like Jericho said, move the needle. There's nothing wrong with high spots. There's nothing wrong with high flying matches. As my late mother used to say, they all playing sequences. Like what they used to do is jumping around and what have you. But like you said, you gotta have substance.
Yep.
These high flying matches, it's like eating a bunch of cookies and a bunch of cake and Oreos. But you remember that at the end of the day, you don't have no substance. You're not gonna get full. It's not gonna do your body well. You gotta have good characters. You gotta have good psychology. You gotta have a good build. People get on. I'm not the biggest Roman Reigns fan, but he is a character. You invest in him.
Mm-hmm.
You get mad at Brock. You invest in Brock. You invest in your character strongly. In the match, it may not be all Flair Steamboat, Flair Sting, Rock, Little Squads, and Midnight, but you remember.
Yeah.
Because the investment that goes into it.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Wild Boy's asking, do you see Jericho going to Impact? I think it's more plausible now than ever, really. I think he's realizing that he's just, like I said before, I think he's just, Jericho's one of the greatest of all time. He's in my top 5 all time. But I think that he's realizing that he's just a name in WWE right now. That's what he would do. So, unfortunately. Yeah. Gabriel's asking, do I like Miz and Mrs.? I have not watched it, nor do I plan on watching it. I might give it a shot or two, but I don't have any type of any interest at all. Steve Austin, good job, guys. Steve Austin is the correct answer. All right, here's the next one. Fill in the blank. Jumpin' Joey blank. Jumpin' Joey blank. All right, so CM Punk declines an all-in offer. Wrestling Inc. actually broke this through an interview with Cody Rhodes, and he was basically saying, "Good job, Mo. Mo knows his stuff tonight." Jumping Joey Mags. Brandon's asking, "How do you think Becky will do as a heel?" I think she'll do okay. I think she's still trying to do the promo on SmackDown was okay. I still don't think a heel versus Charlotte Flair is a good idea because people aren't really digging the Charlotte, face run anymore, and just doing it against someone like someone like Charlotte. I don't agree with it. I really prefer the Becky Balboa, underdog character. I think they could have made it work. I think it could have been to the point of Daniel Bryan to an extent. Maybe not as big as Daniel Bryan, but I think they could have done that. You know, Daniel Bryan had that Rocky character. I think that Becky Lynch could have done the same thing. So, yep. What year did the NWO form? What year did the NWO form? Yeah, so CM Punk declines the all in offer. It seems like he's out. But here's real quick. Here's a Lil Silver and GHP. Good job, Wild Boy Mo, 1996. Yeah, DX. Okay, I agree with you on Becky Balboa. Yep, Gabriel DX. All and others are saying 96. I'm seeing a bunch of 96s here. Good job. Yeah, Jose, Brandon. Yep, great job, guys. All right, so yeah, I mean, I think that CM Punk eventually is going to come back to wrestling. I think right now it's just like he's so bitter about wrestling that he don't want any parts of it. He's doing movies now. He's not a big star in movies, but it seems like that's the route that pro wrestlers go now, is the movie route, which I think is a great idea, actually. So best wishes to him. I've said it plenty of times. I am certainly not the biggest CM Punk fan. I'm not a fan at all of CM Punk, but he's earned his stripes in the business. I respect him as a in-ring performer, and I wish him the best. I hope he does very well. MMA is not his deal, so I don't think he should do that anymore. But if acting is, go for it. I'm all for that. But I think he, as someone who's been in the wrestling business for so long, you've got that itch, and I don't think it's all the way gone. I think it's being suppressed right now. And as someone who's about to be a doctor in psychology, suppress feelings doesn't mean that they go away. Sometimes they can come back much, much worse. So, all right. So not sure, but the Roman turned heel on Raw. Ish. So he turned heel-ish. Shield came back and destroyed Strowman. So we'll see on Raw whether it's a heel move. It kind of makes some loose ends a little difficult because Rollins and Ziggler and Drew were still kind of feuding. So we'll see how that goes. Lil So's asking, ask Chris, do you think Batista will ever come back to WWE? He wants to. He recently Meltzer just reported that last week or so that he still wants a farewell run, but the crazy thing is he turns 50 in January, so I don't know if that's going to happen. Zed is asking, ex Chris, do you think Kofi Kingston will win a Royal Rumble? I don't, unfortunately. I think it would be cool if he did, but no. Jose is asking, ex Chris, are you a huge fan of New Jack and ECW? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Zack Ryder reveals why the Internet Championship never made it to WWE TV. Table for 3. That was really interesting with him, Matt Hardy, and Xavier Woods. There was a viral episode of people who, went viral, kind of created their own brands. He said that there was someone in the creative who was just against the whole thing and didn't want him at all to be a part of. They wanted it to be a part of the merchandising and the branding, but they thought that it seemed like he was too big of a mark if he brought the Internet Championship up, which I think that was, I think he should have wore it. You want to leech on his, self-branding, the fact that he branded himself when he wasn't being used properly to become eventually the U.S. champion. And it's so fun. The funny part of it is NXT would make sense for NXT to have an Internet Championship, because if it wasn't for the internet, you won't be able to watch NXT because it's on the WWE network. It all makes fun. It all makes sense. Wildboy's asking, do you watch Cultaholic and Wrestle Talk videos on YouTube? I don't watch Cultaholic. I think, I'm sure they're doing some great stuff over there. I just don't have the time to watch it. No shade to Cultaholic at all. Wrestle Talk. Yeah, I mean, I guess, I mean, every now and then I've seen they've gave my show some love, Pancakes and Powerslams. So kudos to that. Yeah, I think they're creating some really cool videos. But I just haven't had much time to watch them. So, I mean, I give people for people to spend so much time editing and doing all that. I mean, that's a lot of hard work and it takes a lot of time. So, I mean, kudos to that. Gabriel's asking, which indie star do you see WWE signing next? Okay, so Matt Riddle was who appeared in NXT TakeOver. We just saw Keith Lee. I'm gonna go Shane Strickland. Yeah, I'm gonna go Shane Strickland. Who's Kill Shot in Lucha Underground, who's killing it in MLW and Evolve, doing a fantastic job. All right. What's next? Let's talk about. Okay, so real quick, original plans for the Bayley and Sasha angle. The Observer said that Bayley was supposed to be a heel. But the